Freedom. The word itself stirs something within us, a deep yearning. We all seek it. But what is freedom, truly? Is it the ability to do what we want, when we want? Or is it something deeper, something more profound and eternal? We live in a world where distractions abound, where desires chain us, and our emotions, more often than not, rule us. But this is not the freedom we should strive for. The Stoics, masters of the art of life, have much to teach us about the path to true freedom. They understood that the chains binding us are not external but internal. These chains are forged by our own minds, by our unchecked desires, fears, and emotions. To break these chains is to achieve a freedom far more powerful than anything the world outside can offer. In the following pages, we will journey through the Stoic philosophy of detachment and self-mastery. We will learn how true freedom is not something given to us, but something we must cultivate within ourselves. A freedom that arises not from the absence of obstacles, but from the presence of inner strength and clarity. The illusion of external freedom. At first glance, freedom appears to be the absence of restraint. We imagine that to be free is to be able to act without interference, to pursue our desires unchecked. But this is a dangerous illusion, one that leads us deeper into bondage. The Stoics understood that chasing after external freedoms, whether it's wealth, power, or pleasure, only serves to enslave us more deeply. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, wisely noted, "Is freedom anything else than the power to live as we wish? But to live as we wish is to live rightly, according to reason and virtue." And herein lies the paradox. We think freedom is about following our whims, but true freedom is about aligning ourselves with reason and mastering our desires. It is about living in accordance with nature, not being tossed about by every fleeting impulse or fear. When we chase after external pleasures, we become slaves to them. We become dependent on things outside our control, and when they inevitably change or disappear, we suffer. The Stoics urged us to focus not on controlling the world around us, but on controlling our responses to it. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The chains of emotion. Our emotions, when unchecked, are the greatest chains that bind us. Fear, anger, jealousy, grief, these emotions cloud our judgment and make us act against our better selves. How often have we lashed out in anger, only to regret it later? How often have we been paralyzed by fear, unable to act in accordance with our true nature? The Stoics understood that emotions, while natural, can become destructive if they are allowed to dominate our minds. But they also knew that we have the power to master these emotions, to detach ourselves from their grip. The key to this mastery is reason, the capacity to step back, to reflect, and to act in alignment with our values rather than being driven by momentary passions. Seneca, the Roman Stoic, wrote extensively about the dangers of letting emotions dictate our lives. In his essay on anger, he observed that the greatest remedy for anger is delay. He was teaching us the power of detachment, the ability to create space between stimulus and response, to not be swept away by our emotions but to consider them carefully and act with wisdom. We all have emotions. They are a part of our human nature. But we do not have to be controlled by them. By cultivating inner detachment, we can observe our emotions without being consumed by them. We can learn to feel deeply without allowing those feelings to govern our actions. Detachment as the path to freedom. The Stoic concept of detachment is not about indifference or apathy. It is not about withdrawing from life or rejecting the joys and sorrows that come our way. Rather, it is about achieving a state of inner equilibrium, where we are not tossed about by external circumstances or internal turmoil. To be detached, in the Stoic sense, is to recognize that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. It is about understanding that nothing outside of ourselves, no person, no event, no possession, has the power to dictate our happiness or our peace of mind. As Epictetus famously said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This detachment is not a withdrawal from life, but a deeper engagement with it. It is the ability to face life's challenges with calm and resilience, knowing that our true power lies within. When we are detached, we are free, not because we are untouched by pain or loss, but because we are no longer defined by them. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, exemplified this mindset in his writings. He faced immense personal and political challenges, yet in his meditations, he consistently reminded himself to remain centered, to let go of things beyond his control, and to focus on cultivating virtue. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." The role of virtue in true freedom. At the heart of Stoicism is the belief that virtue is the only true good. Virtue, living in accordance with reason and nature, is the key to achieving true freedom. For the Stoics, freedom was not about indulging in pleasure or avoiding pain, it was about living a life of integrity, wisdom, courage, and justice. When we live virtuously, we are free because we are no longer slaves to our base desires or fears. We are no longer dependent on external circumstances for our happiness. We are free because we are in control of ourselves, and this self-mastery is the highest form of freedom. Seneca, in his writings, emphasized the importance of fortitude and self-control. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." True freedom, for Seneca, was about contentment, being satisfied with what we have, and not being constantly driven by the desire for more. This does not mean that the Stoics advocated for a life of asceticism or deprivation. Rather, they taught that we should enjoy the things we have without becoming attached to them. We should appreciate the pleasures of life, but not be dependent on them for our happiness. In this way, we can live fully and freely, without being enslaved by our desires. Overcoming destructive emotions. One of the central messages of Stoicism is the importance of overcoming destructive emotions. Anger, fear, jealousy, grief, these emotions can cloud our judgment, distort our perception of reality, and lead us to act in ways that are harmful to ourselves and others. But the Stoics believed that we have the power to rise above these emotions, to master them through reason and reflection. Epictetus taught that emotions are not inherently good or bad, they are simply reactions to our thoughts and beliefs. If we believe that something is a threat, we will feel fear. If we believe that something has been unjustly taken from us, we will feel anger. But these beliefs are not always accurate, and by examining them closely, we can change our emotional responses. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the nature of emotions and how they can be overcome. He wrote, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." This simple but profound statement captures the essence of Stoic detachment. It is not the event itself that causes us pain, but our interpretation of the event. By changing our interpretation, we can change our emotional response. This is not to say that we should suppress our emotions or pretend that they do not exist. Rather, the Stoics teach us to acknowledge our emotions, but not be controlled by them. We can feel deeply without being overwhelmed. We can experience pain without succumbing to despair. We can face adversity with courage and grace, knowing that our inner strength is greater than any external challenge. The journey to self-mastery. The path to true freedom is not an easy one. It requires constant vigilance, self-reflection, and discipline. It requires us to cultivate the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. But it is a path worth walking, for it leads to a freedom that is unshakable, a freedom that no external force can take away. As we walk this path, we must remember that the goal is not perfection but progress. The Stoics did not expect us to be free from all emotions or desires. Rather, they encouraged us to strive continually toward greater self-mastery. To fall and rise again, to learn from our mistakes, and to keep moving forward. In the words of Epictetus, no man is free who is not master of himself. This is the ultimate lesson of Stoicism, that true freedom comes from within. It is the freedom to choose how we respond to the world, to choose virtue over vice, reason over passion, and wisdom over ignorance. Conclusion. We all seek freedom. But the freedom we seek is not found in the world around us. It is not found in wealth, power, or pleasure. It is found within ourselves, in our ability to master our minds, to detach from destructive emotions, and to live in accordance with reason and virtue. The Stoics knew that true freedom is not the absence of obstacles but the presence of inner strength. It is the ability to face life's challenges with equanimity and resilience, knowing that we are in control of our own minds and actions. As we embrace the teachings of Stoicism, we come to realize that freedom is not something to be pursued, it is something to be cultivated within. It is a state of being that arises when we let go of our attachment to external things and focus on mastering ourselves. Let us strive together, as fellow travelers on this journey, to cultivate this inner freedom. Let us seek to live lives of virtue, wisdom, and self-mastery. And in doing so, let us find the true freedom that no one and nothing can take away.